हेलो। मेरे को कुछ सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है।
Yeah, we are unnaturally
Yeah.
quiet.
Okay, fine, fine. Now I can listen to. Okay, fine. Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Uttam being on the call and it being quiet is unnatural. Otherwise, quiet is natural.
मुझे पता नहीं आप मेरी तारीफ कर रहे हो कि ले रहे हो, but accepted. So what Virendra was saying is usually though, I do take a lot of webinars and I never let a minute of silence remain. So Virendra is pulling my leg on that one.
Good afternoon.
Good that everybody logged in before the event, so in a sense it becomes easier.
But surprisingly, this particular software broadcasts beforehand. So even our small talk is now available and visible to the people at large, which makes us a little wary. Yeah.
Which is a choice actually. I mean, it's not as if they can't disable that.
Okay.
Veera? Veera, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Hi, Samir.
Yes, boss. How are you?
Dua hai.
Hello. Am I audible?
Samir sir, good afternoon. Yeah, you are audible.
Samir, you're audible. Perfectly audible.
Yeah. Good afternoon. अनिल भाई कैसे हो?
सभी भाई मजे में, बताइए।
बस बस फर्स्ट क्लास। अच्छा लगा देख के आपको बहुत समय बाद।
अरे क्या बात है।
हाय जय, हाउ आर यू?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you? Hi, everyone.
आई एम फाइन, आई एम फाइन। मिस्टर जैन, हाउ आर यू?
I'm fine. Fine.
या गुड गुड। उत्तम जी,
Sir ji,
गुड।
fit and fine. IT service.
या वीरेन भाई, हाउ आर यू?
बस आपकी कोविड लुक तो देख रहे हैं।
बॉस, आई वाज फॉर्चुनेट इनफ टुडे, आई गॉट अ हेयरकट। हाय रवि, हाउ आर यू?
Good, Samir. How are you? Good to. I
I'm
like your beard there. I like your COVID beard there.
थैंक यू सो मच।
तो नहीं है।
Deepak, if everyone has joined, all the panelists have joined, we can start.
Yes. All the panelists have already joined. Hello everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you. Today we are going to discuss about the untitled chapter. Untitled chapter is a book written by Sensex. Sensex is a very good afternoon to all of you. I am Deepak Chaudhary. I am Deepak Chaudhary from Business Development Team of BSE. On behalf of BSE, I welcome you all to this session of curtain raiser of the launch of Sensex 50 weekly contracts with Monday expiry and a panel discussion on opportunities and trading strategies in this product. I can see some participants who have joined from offshore cities like Dubai, Singapore, Hong Kong, and USA. I wish very warm welcome to all the participants of this session. As you may be aware that BSE is launching weekly options contracts with Monday expiry in equity derivative segment from 29th of June 2020. This contract is unique in terms of expiry because of the contracts of equity derivative segment in India currently expires on Thursday. So now BSE has made some innovation in the product, and because we have received a lot of feedbacks from market participants that BSE should have some different unique combination in the product offerings of derivative segment. So in this way, this is unique. Because
Getting the voice
from July onwards, BSE derivative weekly derivative contracts will expire on Monday instead of Wednesday, instead of Thursday currently. Today we have our Chief Business Officer, Mr. Samir Patil, with us. We also have a renowned panel with us to discuss on the opportunities of Sensex 50 weekly options with Monday expiry. We will discuss the trading strategies in the panel discussion. I would like to introduce our panelists first. We have Mr. Ravi Jain. He is Director of Risk and Derivatives in Sterling Trading Tech, Chicago, United States of America. He will be moderating today's panel discussion. Second, we have Mr. Uttam Bagri. He is Chairman of Brokers Forum of India. He is also Director of BCB Brokerage Private Limited, Mumbai. We have Mr. Anil Shah. He is Director in Association of National Members of India. He is also Director of Span Capitalist Private Limited, Ahmedabad. We have Mr. Virendra Mansukhani. He is Director of Mansukh Stock Brokers Limited. He is also alternate President of Commodity Participant Association of India. I welcome you, sir. We have Mr. Sunil Jain. He is Research Head of Equity and Equity Derivatives at Nirmal Bang Securities Private Limited. He is a chartered accountant and has over 16 years of experience in equity research field. He had been regular guest analyst on various news channels, and he is a columnist in various business magazines and newspapers. Next, we have Mr. Jay Thakkar. He is Vice President and Head of Research for Equity and Equity Derivatives, Technical and Fundamental and Algo in Marwari Shares and Finance Limited. He has over 21 years of experience in research field. Mr. Hemant Thakkar, Senior Vice President of Aditya Birla Capital, was also supposed to be joined in today's panel discussion, but due to some emergency, he has sent his apology. He could not join today's meeting. So panel discussion will be followed by Q&A session. Participants are requested to ask the questions by typing the question in the Q&A box. We will take up the questions in the last after the panel discussion. So now to begin with the session, I would like to firstly invite the Chief Business Officer of BSE, Mr. Samir Patil. Samir sir, over to you.
Thank you, Deepak, for the kind introduction. Rather, in fact, I would request all panelists and others who are not speaking to keep themselves on mute, so there would not be any disturbance. Thank you. So, Deepak, you said that we have invitees, we have joinees from all across the globe. But one thing you missed out is Shri Ravi Jain is logged in from Chicago, and I sincerely thank Mr. Ravi Jain. It should be what would be the time in Chicago now, Mr. Ravi?
I'm in the New York area at 7 o'clock in the morning, and
It's 7
I've
o'clock
had
in the morning.
I've had
Thank
lots of
you.
cups of coffee and tea, so I'm good.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining so early in the morning. Besides, my sincere thanks to Shri Uttam Bagri ji, Shri Anil Shah ji, Shri Virendra Mansukhani ji, Shri Sunil Jain ji, Shri Jai Thakkar ji, and Shri Hemant Tukral ji. In fact, before I start, there is one personal comment I would like to make. Is I thought being in the commodities industry for so long, and this session has been moderated by Shri Ravi Jain. And when I met him first, and when I spoke about gold, I thought I had all the information, and I had all the knowledge about gold. But I went, and when I personally met him and I started interacting with him, I thought I'm only G of gold to still learn OLD. So it's old information, a lot of information that I have to still learn. So I'm happy that the session is in the safe hands of Shri Ravi Jain. So and before we start, in fact, last couple of months have been very eventful, and nobody thought in the month of January that the next quarter from April to June you will be sitting at home and working from home, and this is forced. You'll be forced to sit at home rather. But nevertheless, we all have now some way or the other we have caught up with it. We are trying a level best, and now we have gone ahead and we have started dealing with it in a better way now, and we've understood that work can be done from home also. No need to go to the office. It can be done from home, and technology is the key enabler here. We talk about BSE. BSE, in fact, is the fastest exchange in the world with a response time of 6 microseconds. And BSE has done many first things like launching the weekly contracts of currency, negative pricing in Brent crude. In fact, in the month of April was very eventful. On 20th April to 2020, the first time when the NYMEX crude prices went into negative zone, nobody thought that this can happen. Yes, it happened, and it went into negative zone. But in India, BSE trades the Brent crude oil. BSE has launched the Brent crude oil contracts, which we settle on the prices on the Intercontinental Exchange UK. And but we geared up for it. We were ready for it, and BSE became, in fact, the first exchange in India to announce that BSE trading systems are ready to accommodate negative pricing for commodities within a week. And from 1st of June, it's on and live. So this lockdown, amidst this lockdown, BSE did not stop in innovating or introducing new products as far as technology is concerned, as far as equity is concerned, equity derivatives is concerned, or for that matter, even commodities is concerned. In fact, on 1st of June 2020, BSE went ahead and launched the first of its kind options on goods. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Ravi Jain. I think this product is not traded anywhere in the world, because all options do devolve in the futures, and then the futures are converted in. But India is the first exchange. India is the first nation rather, and BSE being the first exchange to launch the options on goods contracts in gold mini, which is a 100-gram contract, and silver kg. Again, this is the first contract in the world where a kilobar of silver would be delivered. And in just three weeks of trade, in fact, yesterday, Thursday, we clocked more than 2,000 crores of notional value of as far as turnover is concerned in only commodities yesterday. So yesterday was a good day for us, and we have seen a sizable open interest as well. We have more than 1,400 lots as open interest are concerned, and we trade about around. Yesterday we traded 40,000 lots, but on an annual average we trade about 22,000 lots, and an open interest of 1,400 lots is a sizable amount of open interest, because it gets stickiness to the business in the long term. In the INX, I would take this opportunity to introduce ourselves in the INX as well. In India INX, the GIFT City Exchange, BSE India INX launched the USD INR contracts on 8th of May 2020, and the Honorable Finance Minister of India, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman, launched these contracts. And today we are proud to say that we are more than 90% market share there as well. So all in all, this lockdown did not stop BSE from innovating, inventing, or introducing new contracts, new products, new technology as far as new technology is concerned to the market participants. And in fact, also on the best and bow, we will be providing the front end systems, the best and bow, which is provided by the BSE. To all BSE members, and that too free of cost, with uninterrupted services. So this again, this would enable the member brokers of BSE to come forward and participate on the exchange in an uninterrupted manner. And this BOW and BEST are multi-exchange softwares where you can trade multi-exchanges at one single time through by logging through this. So this is one more facility, one more thing that BSE is providing to the members, and that too at no cost, absolutely free of cost. So BSE is not only enabling members to fight through this lockdown in a very systematic way, but also in an uninterrupted way. With this, I move on to why we are today, why we are here today. In fact, I won't speak much about the product because Ojas is there. He'll cover the product in detail. But after interoperability, we've seen there is easy accessibility of funds. Where there is one clearing member, you can easily trade any product, any exchange. Now, it is more of a clearing cooperation than exchanges. On 29th of June 2020, BSE would be launching the Sensex 50 options contracts. Now, this is a new product where when we always keep on speaking with market participants, the traders, the members, they keep on calling us, keep on giving us inputs, so on and so forth. So this one product was an innovation during a conversation with some of our members, and they said, why don't you launch this product, and why don't you shift the expiry from Thursday, because there's already a Thursday delivery, which is expiry, which is available. So why don't you shift your expiry to Monday, and you launch this product? We already have this product launched, which is the India 50 on the India INX, and that is a very, very liquid product over there. We trade close to $2 billion a day over there. So we thought we can launch this product here with a shift in expiry. And the response that we got when we consulted all our members and all was tremendous, and that encouraged us to launch this product. We applied to SEBI gave us an approval, and we thought this is the right time now to launch this product. The various things that can be achieved by trading this product in particular will be explained to you by Ojas in detail, but you can also discuss this in detail when the fellow panelists will speak about it. Again, the most important thing is the launch is coupled with liquidity enhancement scheme, which is intended to bring the desired level of liquidity on gradual basis and in a combustive way. So this new product with lot of enthusiasm, lot of merits attached to it, will also be backed by liquidity enhancement scheme. And again, one thing which is most important here is there's also a waiver of transaction charges in equity derivatives. So this can again be a booster for the market participant, the investor, for the trader to come and participate. So I think this product is a perfect fit for all market participants, and we request active participation from day one of the launch to make it a great success. And we look forward for all the market participants, the attendees, the panelists who are here today, and all members who could join this session, who could not join this session, are request to please come forward, have a look at the product, do participate. If there is merit, keep on participating again, because there are a lot of saving, not only of the transaction charges, but you have LES also attached to it, and at the same time, due to interoperability, you don't need to shift your margins. So in one case, it is a win-win for everybody, all market participants. So with this, I summarize and I conclude my opening remark. If you call this as opening remark, this was an opening remark. But I thought this is an opportunity for me to connect with all the respected fellow panelists, and good to see you all today, and to all the attendees. So I now conclude here. And I wish that it becomes a very good session, and there's a lot of learning for all. Thank you so much. Over to you, Deepak. Oh, yes, is the next speaker.
Hello. Yeah.
Deepak, your voice is audible. Please take it forward.
Thank you, Sunil sir, for your opening remarks. Now I would like to invite Mr. Ojas Shah, Head of West Region Business Development of for a brief presentation on BSE derivative segment and Sensex 50 monthly and weekly future and option contracts. Over to you, sir. Ojas sir.
Yeah, Meera, can you share the presentation?
Please share the presentation. Can everybody see the presentation? Ojas, can you see the presentation?
No, not yet.
Yes, see now.
No.
Now you see. You can't see the presentation?
No.
Just on your top screen, there's 4 menus: quick start, session info, there's the image, and Sensex PPT. You have to move your mouse over Sensex PPT. It's top left corner.
Mr. Ojas? Hello, Mr. Ojas? Is Balaji here?
Yeah.
I will control the PPT now.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just a sec.
You're able to see?
No, not yet. Are the participants able to see the presentation? Then we can move forward.
No, sir, it is not visible.
Meera, it's not visible.
Meera, you right click and make me as a presenter, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, I made you the presenter. Yeah.
So, Ojas, are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, now it's visible.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Ojas.
Yeah, so now the presentation is visible. Okay. So thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Samir sir, for enlightening the participants about BSE. To take it forward, what Samir sir has said, I'll take you through the brief presentation on Sensex 50 specifications and the details of the LEA scheme. Before we proceed, let me give a quick background of the derivatives market and involvement of weekly contracts. My voice is audible?
Yes, Ojas, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So exchange traded equity has been in existence for last 20 years. With the introduction of weekly contracts in the market, the equity derivative segment has got a booster, and the volumes and the equity derivative segment has grown multifold in past few years, basically just because of the introduction of the weekly contracts. BSE as such believes in innovation in the product offerings, and this time BSE has decided to launch weekly contracts in Sensex 50 index with the expiry as Monday. So in there is a history of expiry with Thursday, contracts expiring on Thursday. BSE is planning to introduce the weekly contracts with Monday expiry. Overall, the market participants are super excited about this launch of this product, as this is going to become a reality from July 1. Now we'll discuss about the presentation. Meera, can you just move to the slide number 2? Yeah, that is Sensex 50 versus Sensex 30. So this is the correlation of index Sensex 50 versus Sensex 30. So this gives a confidence to the market. Why Sensex 50 index? Market participants may be skeptical since this may be a new index, but this is what the correlation index data suggests, that there is a very high correlation between Sensex 50 index
कुछ पता
and
लग गया
Sensex.
अब कुछ नहीं करना मेरे को कुछ नहीं
Yeah, so I think the background voice is now clear. So this is the correlation data between Sensex 50 and Sensex 30. This gives a confidence to the market participant that the index Sensex 50 is not probably a different index, but it has a very high correlation with the existing indices like Sensex 30 as well as Nifty 50. We'll move to the different correlation data, and that will give the confidence to the market. Now, the second slide suggests the 1 year correlation between Sensex 50 and Sensex 30 is 99.91% correlation, and 3 year correlation is 98.34%. So, over a period of 3 years, it has been observed there is very high correlation between Sensex 50 and Sensex 30 indices. Mira, can you move to the next slide? Yeah, so this is the correlation data of Sensex Nifty with the highly traded indices, that is Nifty 50. Now again the same data, the 1 year correlation data suggests there is 99.99%. So it's practically like 100% correlation. 99.9% is the correlation for last 1 year. Last 3 years the correlation is 99.94%. So this correlation data gives a confidence to the market participant that this index is much aligned, and this can be alternative or probably a way of doing different kind of strategies. Mira, can you move to the next slide? Mira? Mira?
Ojas, Balaji sir is changing the slides.
Yeah. So we move to the one of the important slide which is related to the contract specifications of Sensex 50 indices. So BSE is going to launch the weekly contracts with Monday expiry on futures as well as options. In the other exchanges, this products weekly contracts are only available for the options contract but not for futures. BSE has always been an innovative in terms of the products, and BSE has introduced weekly contracts for future as well as for options. Now we move to the contract specifications of Sensex 50 futures. So the asset ID for Sensex 50 will be IN50. IN50 stands for India 50, and the asset ID will be IN50. The market lot will be 75. So the lot multiplier will be 75. The contracts will be available 3 monthly and 7 weekly contracts will be available at any given point of time. Tick size is 0.05, which is available, which is there at the other exchanges as well. The settlement is cash settled. It's not a delivery settled contract, it's a cash settled contract. Now as far as the expiry is concerned, the beauty of the product is this contract is having 2 types of expiries. The weekly contract is going to expire on every Monday of the month, of the week practically, and the monthly contract is going to expire on last Thursday of the month. So the monthly contract remains as it is, so that the market participants have different kind of trading strategies and opportunities to trade. Settlement price will be last 30 minutes VWAP price. The final settlement price will be the closing price of the underlying index. In terms of LES applicability, the Sensex futures for Sensex 50 futures, the LES scheme shall be applicable for the market makers, where we are giving the code-based incentives and incentives for the market maker. We'll have the detailed discussion in the subsequent slides. Now we move to Sensex 50 options. In Sensex 50, again, the asset ID remains IN50. So when you're searching different strikes, you need to search by putting the asset ID as IN50. Balaji sir, can you just go to the back slide? Yeah, so the market lot remains same, 75. 3 monthly and 7 weekly contracts shall be available. In terms of tick size, the same 0.05. Cash settled contract, and as I said, the monthly contracts will expire on last Thursday of the month. while the weekly contracts will expire on every Monday of the week. Settlement price will be same last 30 minutes VWAP price, and the final settlement price will be the closing price. Exercise style, it will be European, and the strike between various strikes, that will be 50. Now in terms of liquidity enhancement scheme applicable for options, it will be applicable for all days for the current week contracts, and on E-day, that is expiry date of the weekly contract, the LES shall be applicable for current week as well as the near week of the weekly contract. In terms of the strikes in which the LES shall be applicable, so all strikes which has 0 at the 10th place, so basically the second last digit of the strike, that is the 10th place, wherever it is 0, the LES scheme shall be applicable. So practically a multiplier of 100 to just simplify it. Balaji sir, can you move to the next slide? So this is the LES scheme, liquidity enhancement scheme on Sensex 50 futures and options contract. So this scheme is applicable for market participants, all market participants. Plus we have planned, we have appointed designated market makers. So appointing a designated market maker gives a confidence to the market participants that there will be seamless entry and exit opportunities for any market participant. Sensex 50 futures contract, there will be quoting incentives of 18 lakh rupees per month. There will be trading incentives of 9.90 lakhs per month for the market makers. So this will be a layout for the market makers. This will ensure that there is seamless entry and exit possible for any market participant. Now we move to Sensex 50 options contract, that is the weekly contracts. The LES shall be applicable on only weekly contracts and not the monthly contracts. The quoting incentives for the market maker are capped at 51 lakh rupees per month. So 51 lakh is the quoting incentives for the market makers. So this will ensure that the quotes are stable and you entry and exit as a market participant. In terms of open interest incentives, we have put up incentive layout of 22 lakhs per month. That is also for the market maker. This will again ensure that market maker is capable to handle the open interest and can take the positions up to a larger extent. So this has been carefully designed so that the market makers give a stable and consistent quote. Now, what is the benefit for the market participants? The trading incentives for all the market participants. The trading incentive layout what we have kept is 43 lakhs rupees per month. So total layout for the trading incentive is 43 lakhs rupees per month. Now incentive rate is 50 rupees per crore. So 50 rupees per crore will be the incentive for all market participants, and this is on the notional turnover. So on 1 crore of notional turnover, the market participant shall be eligible up to rupees 50 per crore. This will be subject to a daily pool of trading incentives which has been kept by the exchanges. Now what market participants can gain out of this scheme is basically there's a comparison of table which is given in the at the lower side, that is the trading incentive benefit. I mean, this is a very important thing to look by any of the market participant, be a proprietary trader, be a retail dealer or a client. This incentive is going to make a probably very big impact. This is a basic calculation. If you look at the figures, if you do just daily 10 crore of notional turnover, your monthly incentives comes to around 11,000 rupees. Similarly, if your daily turnover, notional turnover is 1,000 crores, your monthly incentives could be up to 11 lakh rupees. So this is a very big amount in terms of incentives. These incentives will be really helpful for all the proprietary traders, for the retail dealers, for end clients, and everyone can participate in this scheme. Balaji sir, can you move to the next slide, please? So this slide talks about the transaction structure and the benefits out of the transaction charge. As rightly said by Mr. Samir Patil, that there is a waiver of transaction. So this table will give you a very clear picture of what, as a market participant, as a proprietary trader, you will get benefit out of the transaction charge structure. So in futures, the other exchanges are levying a transaction charge of 380 rupees per crore plus 18% GST is levied on the transaction charge per crore of round trip turnover. So in futures, what you save by trading on BSE, you save 380 plus GST on that is 448 per crore will be the savings. If you trade on BSEs, 448 rupees per crore for future for 1 crore of turnover. If your average daily turnover is 100 crore, what you save at yearly basis is 1 crore 18 lakhs. So this will be your saving. If you do 100 crores of turnover at BSE, what you save is 1.18 crore in terms of just savings in transaction charge. So this is a very big number to look at. Now this was related to future. Now when we move to option, you'll find it as this amount will grow multifold in terms of the savings in transaction charge. Now in options, what you save as transaction charge, 10,000 rupees per crore on a round trip. So 5,000 plus 5,000 on a round trip. So that plus 18% GST. So what you save is 11,800 rupees per crore on round trip on premium. So this is what you save when you trade on BSE as we have weighed the transaction charges. Now the table gives you a very clear picture. Even if your premium turnover for on a daily basis, if it is just 1 crore, what you end up at the end of the year, what you save is 31 lakh rupees as the transaction charge. Now this again amount is a very big. If your daily turnover is 100 crore, what you save is 31.15 crore. So you save 31 crores by trading on BSE. So these are just the transaction charges which are incurring, and this is in your hand how to save it. As far as the regulatory costs are concerned, like STT, stamp duty, SEBI fees, these are subjective and you don't have much of the control. However, the transaction charges are in your control, and the venue where you want to trade, and you'll make this big savings as it has been pointed out in this slide. Balaji, move next slide, please. So what you get as a value proposition in BSE FRO, the first thing as Mr. Patil has rightly pointed out, there is now that the interoperability framework is already live, you don't need to keep a separate window. For this, you need not keep any collateral. The collateral which you allocated for the segment, that is derivatives, the same collateral can be used across exchanges. So it is not dependent on the exchange, it is dependent on the segment. So don't need to keep any additional BSE FRO. In terms of unique weekly expiry, the weekly contracts which expire on Monday. Now in terms of various trading strategies, probably various combination of trading strategies can be probably created by this combination of weekly to weekly, weekly to monthly, and other strategies. Probably person to give on the strategy perspective. There are renowned speakers with us who will give you probably way on the strategy. As far as the activation is concerned, for any of the member brokers, there are no charges for membership activation. So any member can activate the membership BSE. There are no charges for this. As far as additional infrastructure or the front end is required, so we have our own softwares like Bolt TWS, Bolt Plus, which we call as BOW. We have Best. This we offer to you, to market participants, for multi-exchange trading, and this is absolutely free of cost. So there are no charges related to the front end softwares. As far as transaction charges are concerned, we already discussed there are no transaction charges, and there is very attractive LEA scheme which is applicable for all market participants, and all market participants can gain out of this. As far as combination of strategies are concerned, the speakers will discuss in detail about the trading strategies which can be implemented with the current framework of Monday expiry versus Thursday expiry. So this is all from the contract specifications of Sensex 50 and the liquidity enhancement team. Over to you, Deepak.
Hello. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are very much.
Yeah. Shri Ravi Jain, I request you can start the panel discussion.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thanks.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Ravi Jan. So, just a few months ago, the world was a totally different place. So, who would have thought that today I would be sitting here in my basement in Pennsylvania, moderating a seminar in Mumbai? But everything has changed. The entire world has changed. We're in crazy amounts of turmoil, and in these times of turmoil, one of the things that we look for are people and companies that are willing to take the risk to do something different. And as you've heard Samir and Ojas say, they've used the word innovate a lot. And so in times like this, we are looking for people and companies that are not afraid to innovate. And today I can say that with the launch of this product and some of the other products that the BSE has done over the last several months, they clearly have shown that they are an organization that is ready to innovate and innovate in the derivatives markets. So I think they've shown and earned that, and it's great to be here to discuss this new product. So to discuss this product, we have 5 very esteemed industry experts, and the aim of this panel will be to help us understand these contracts, understand their potential, and understand how different participants can utilize them. So, without further ado, I'm going to start the conversation. So let me first start by posing a question to all of the panelists, and I'd appreciate if each of you could give 1 or 2 minutes on this question. So the question is, why now? We're in the middle of unprecedented potential volatility. The new initiative, which is the Monday expiry, is clearly tracks volatility significantly. What's the purpose and significance of a short-term futures and options contract? And do you think it's unique enough for the market to really get engaged with it? And can this be a game changer for the BSE? So I'd like to hear from each of you and tell me what you think about this.
Yeah, probably I'll take it. On your statement, the world is a different place, that you are there and we are here. The kind of audience we have is also something new. Same webinar before pandemic wouldn't have so much attendance. There's a speed with which, as a species, we adapt and develop. On why now? So if this is a new normal, why not now? Why not now is a question. In fact, as a broking community, we have seen that people being locked down in the houses, all right, frankly, have a lot of time to think and look at new ideas. Okay, at least I see in my offices many clients who are dormant are suddenly taking interest in stock markets and very keen to know about the products. They're keen to learn, and the speed of learning is awesome. So this is a very interesting time to launch new products. There are lots of ready audience who are keen to listen to you. On this, whether will this be a game changer for BSE or not? Well, find for two exchanges to exist, you need product differentiation, right? If you sell the same thing, then exchanges tend to be natural monopoly. I think then exchanges tend to be natural monopoly. Having a different expiry date, I think it's a very interesting new differentiation of product differentiation has been created, and that could really excite quite a lot of people. But I'll leave further points to the other panelists.
Thank you, Uttam. Who wants to take up this question next?
Yeah, Ravi Virender here. So what we can see is definitely, BSE's tried with the same expiry dates for Sensex options and it didn't work out. The interesting point is, because the amount of volatility and news flow is so large, a lot of people want to hedge themselves over the weekend. And if you want to hedge across with a theta of 4 days, it may not be the best or the most optimal solution. So in that sense, a Monday expiry does help people in trying to hedge over the weekend kind of a risk. So that could be a method which could cause interest of market participants, specifically because it's a different product, so it's very difficult to price it. That what should be the value of the over the weekend risk? Some people might feel this risk is too costly, or some may feel it's too cheap. And when you have two differing opinions, that's when you have a trade. So in that sense, this innovation might just work in attracting two differing opinions, and that's how the traction builds for a product. Thanks.
Extremely well said. Thank you very much, Vrinda. Very well said.
Yeah. Can I take?
Absolutely, please.
Yeah. See, what I find here is that in the Sensex, they are also introducing contract for future also, apart from option. So we were having issues like in a weekly contract, you can't give strategies where only options are there and future is not there. So now I think with this strategy, this launch of both options and futures, I think there are a lot of strategies which remained on the back end will come up, and people can give, all my analysts can give strategy on including both options and future. I think that will be working for this particular product, what I feel. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you, Sunil. Anil or Jed, you want to?
Yeah, Ravi. I would like to take on from here. I would really appreciate, first of all, good morning to you, in fact, and good evening to everyone else. And we really appreciate you joining so early in the morning, and that's really great. And that really shows that everyone basically wants to work well. Before the pandemic, people are working, in fact, quite more since the pandemic. I think that hence the innovation is coming, and I would say yes, the law of nature is to grow, and even BSE wants to grow. And with this kind of products, I think definitely the probability of success will be too higher, because I would say that the way Virendra ji explained just a while ago, that it will definitely provide a good option basically to hedge the weekend, I would say, because generally, in this kind of volatile market, something, basically launching this kind of an innovative product, launching this kind of a product wherein, you provide the traders an option to hedge over the weekend and the expiry on the Monday. That's something really good. And, in this kind of volatility market only, people are in fact trading more on options, and they understand more about hedging. Otherwise, when there is a straight uptrend or a unidirectional up move, people tend to forget about hedging themselves, and they are more of there is more of risk on theory, and people would like to trade more on the future segment than the options. But then, since past 1 decade or so, we have been seeing that options have taken over the futures, of course, and we are seeing good amount of volumes now coming back on options. So I think coming with this kind of an innovative product, a different product from that of the other exchange, will definitely provide an edge to BSE and also to the traders. So I would say that it is really good for the traders out here in India to have this kind of an innovative product and different product than that of the other exchange, and this would provide us the research people to have or recommend different kind of strategies and take the advantage of this weekend.
Thank you, Jay. And Anilji?
यस सर, पहले जो अपने स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस सब चलते थे पूरे इंडिया में, तभी अलग अलग एक्सपायरी थी। एनएससी में मंगलवार को एक्सपायरी थी, बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में फ्राइडे को एक्सपायरी थी, कलकत्ता में थर्सडे थी, अहमदाबाद में बुधवार को एक्सपायरी थी, और ट्यूसडे को कानपुर उत्तर प्रदेश स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में एक्सपायरी थी आई थिंक, और दिल्ली में शायद फ्राइडे को एक्सपायरी थी। तो ये मॉडल जो बना है वो बढ़िया बनाया हुआ है, यानी कि दोनों एक्सपायरी अलग अलग होने से, और उसके साथ जो फ्यूचर को सेट किया हुआ है। एक अकेला ऑप्शन में कभी कभी डर लगता है, क्योंकि क्या होता है कि लास्ट दिन पे कल आप एक्सपायरी देखो, क्योंकि 150-200 पॉइंट एकदम से खींच लिया, मतलब तो क्या होता है कि जो मंथली एक्सपायरी फ्यूचर के साथ सेट होता है, लेकिन वीकली फ्यूचर और वीकली ऑप्शन के साथ ये हेज होगा, तो 100% इसमें पार्टिसिपेशन बढ़ेगा और आने वाले दिनों में हमको 2 शॉप मिलेगी। आप एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ कि मैं कहीं मोबाइल लेने जाता हूँ तो एक दुकान से मोबाइल मुझे ठीक तरह नहीं मिलता है तो मैं बगल वाली दुकान में जाता हूँ तो मुझे कंपटीशन यानी कि मुझे चॉइस मिलता है कि मैं कौन सी दुकान से कौन सा मोबाइल लूँ। तो ये एक चॉइस लोगों के लिए आई है। तो लोगों को मुझे लग रहा है कि आने वाले दिनों में ये दोनों एक्शन में बड़ा मार्केट का जो वॉल्यूम है आज की तारीख में जो भी एक्शन में जो अपने एनएससी में भी जो वॉल्यूम हो रहा है उसका वॉल्यूम भी इसकी वजह से डेढ़ा हो जाएगा और ये एक्शन निकल पड़ा तो वहां भी वॉल्यूम आने वाले दिनों में डबल हो जाएगा।
Thank you, Anil. I learned a lot from you. I didn't know about the different, the historical context you just gave. Thank you very much. That was very informative. I will give you a quick thought on that I had. A couple of people said some very interesting things. Firstly, on the fact that there's a futures contract. This will be the first or the only short-term futures contract for equity derivatives, and I think that's very significant because, like several people mentioned, it will give the ability to use the futures as a hedge. Being a short-term contract, it will be sort of a proxy or a quasi-equivalent to the index itself, and so traders do not have to take on the volatility risk of the basis to the monthly futures. So I think that's very significant. And secondly, as several of you mentioned, the opportunity to set up theta trades, because this contract is obviously short term, and thus it's a gamma type contract. The options contract is heavily gamma driven and theta driven. So have the ability to set up a Monday versus Thursday strategy to take advantage of theta becomes very important. And thirdly, we've seen that the markets have changed in the sense that there tends to be very violent moves very quickly, and then there's very little follow through sometimes. And so having a short term, and so longer term contracts don't fit that well. Shorter term, having the ability to have shorter term contracts fits that much better. So I think those are some of the key points that I see on this. So let me let me take another slightly different. Anil, I want to continue on your thought. As you mentioned, you think it's going to be a great contract. So you must be talking to a lot of brokers in the market. What has been their reaction on this contract? And also, can you address the fact that transaction charges on equity derivatives have been dropped by the BSE? And do you think the transaction cost? So do you think the? Sorry. So do you think that if the with the low transaction costs, will that be a catalyst for spurring greater interest and activity in this contract? Anil, I'd love to hear from you on that.
Yes, sir. लोअर ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट सर्वाइवल का बड़ा मतलब चांस है। आज आप देख लो कि 1 करोड़ का टर्नओवर करो तो करीबन 11,200-300 की कॉस्ट आ रही है ऑप्शन में। तो क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट ने भी 3 गुना ऑप्शन में एसटीटी लगा दिया है और यहाँ पर जो ऑप्शन में आप वीकली का वॉल्यूम देखो, इमेजिंग अनबिलीवेबल वॉल्यूम हो गया है। आज मंथली एक्सपायरी से ट्रांसफर होके 80% वॉल्यूम वीकली एक्सपायरी में आ गया है। तो मुझे आने वाले दिनों में लग रहा है कि ब्रोकर मेंबर्स को जो ये यहाँ पर डेप्थ आ गई और यहाँ पर वॉल्यूम हो गया तो फ्यूचर्स का जो लोगों का मतलब ट्रांजेक्शन कॉस्ट है, क्योंकि हम वीकली में हम 4 बार ट्रांजेक्शन करते हैं मंथ में, तो हमारा ट्रांजेक्शन कॉस्ट जितना भी कम होगा उतना हमको बेनिफिट मिलने वाला है, क्योंकि हम मंथली एक्सपायरी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट खड़ा करके छोड़ देते हैं और वीकली में काम करते हैं, 4 बार काम कर लेते हैं हम लोग। तो 100% मेंबरों को बेनिफिट होने वाला है आने वाले दिनों में, और लोग पार्टिसिपेशन जितना ज्यादा करेगा और उसमें डेप्थ भी घट जाएगी, तो डेप्थ घटेगी तो लोगों की इम्पैक्ट कॉस्ट भी कम आ जाएगी। तो जो प्रॉप डेस्क का काम करने वाले, हेजिंग का काम करने वाला है, उसको बड़ा फायदा होने वाला है और क्लाइंटेज को तो 100% होने वाला है, क्योंकि वो एक बार काम करता है, क्लाइंट काम करके छोड़ देता है, वैसे तो वीकली में काम करेगा तो उसको भी बेनिफिट होगा।
Okay. And Uttam, do you have any further thoughts on this, on the impact of the transaction costs and the whether that's going to really bring traders to this market?
Definitely. See, in India, one of the biggest costs for professional traders is the regulatory costs, right? And the regulatory costs are designed in such a way that in case of options, it is on premium, and in case of the other contracts on the entire lot. So there's a natural for professional traders, being in options is a natural place to be. And in light of what this exchange has done in terms of further reducing the cost of trading in options, right, with the focus on options. And as Anil will rightly point out, weekly options is a product being liked by the market, being accepted by the market. Uh, Low cost of transaction is definitely going to be a great, if I can use the word lollipop, for people to get attracted towards this product. So if transaction cost is an issue, so many investors will, at the end of the year, when they, I made a gross profit of 100, and I paid transaction cost or the other cost of transaction of 110. Oh my God, I am not as smart as I thought. So this would transaction, it would really, it really is something that gets everybody's attention. Having said that, there is the other cost that sometimes we have to pay, which is the impact cost, right? Which turns out to be more. And then BSE is trying to solve that problem by this liquidity enhancement scheme and ensuring that there are sufficient quotes and low impact cost at all times. So it should get very interesting.
Absolutely agreed. I just hope that lollipop is a perpetual lollipop, right? It doesn't just it isn't a small one that finishes quickly, right?
The BSE has had a history of low transaction costs, so, and they're very proud and they flaunt it. So I'm assuming that that will continue.
Let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about strategies. So, Jazz, Sunil, Virendra, all of you are very, very actively involved in developing equity derivative strategies. So, we saw Ojas's presentation in which he showed us graphs of the Sensex 50 having a very high correlation with other indices. Given that, can you tell us what kind of trading strategies you envision using the Monday expiry? Have you been working on developing some new strategies? And can we hear about the strategies both from a prop trading perspective as well as a retail trading perspective? So, Jess, Sunil, Virendra, I'd love to hear from you about the strategies.
Okay. From a prop trading perspective, I can give some ideas. See, the beauty or the difference is that Sensex used to be a number which was not easy to correlate mentally with a Nifty number, because that's what market is largely trading currently. But with this Sensex 50, the number is roughly there, roughly in the similar region. So essentially, it will help you kind of mentally put what should be the value of a 500 point of option, for example, or what should be the price of an at the money, or 200 points away from at the money. So from that perspective, mentally to be able to compute what should be the value of the premium will become significantly easy. As you pointed out, because this is going to be a theta and a gamma play, essentially, it will have to get, or it will tend to get modeled around the fact that you have actually, on, say, for example, a given day, always two expiration dates available to you around that particular day. For example, on Wednesday, I will have two Nifty expiries and one Sensex 50 expiry. I could create any kind of time value, calendar spread or a butterfly or whatever way I may choose to express my opinion depending upon the volatility curve at that point in time. So that is what something will be making interesting opportunities for the prop desks to be able to do that. On the retail, just a small thought, a lot of players in India specifically the retail side tend to short deep OTMs on the, basically just to gain pure theta value. And so they may not be willing to short for a full week's horizon, being afraid of a certain event coming in. But with a 2-day horizon, it's easier to short. So for example, on Thursday expirations, you find people are shorting mostly on Wednesdays. Here with and on by Thursday, their capital collateral is available free. And if they again wish to short on a Friday or on Monday, it actually gives them a new set of opportunities to be able to scalp that theta value. So those could be the typical use cases which I am able to think of. Maybe Jay and could enlighten more.
Yeah, Sunil here. What I see that since lot of options, along with options, future is also there on a weekly basis. I see a lot of risk mitigation possibility over here. Whereas if I have to just cover myself in the option alone on a weekly basis, it becomes very difficult. And sometimes when the market is a lot more volatile, it becomes very difficult to cover the position at the time of the trade is going against my thinking. If along with that, if the future is available, then definitely I get an option on the futures that I can cover my position on the other way from future side of the Sensex. That's why I think is the main key advantage what I see when the future and option both are available. Thanks.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you that having the futures and the options together is extremely significant. Jed, your thoughts on strategies?
Sure, Ravi. I mean, there are a couple of strategies that can be worked out. In fact, the one strategy which really will be looking forward for is that when you have this kind of day expiry, it really becomes important, as Virendra said, that it really become that theta play or gamma play. So betting very high on theta basically, and if you are you're really able to judge that, then this can really make good amount of money for the traders. And also to give you one more thought is that the previous question of Ross, that was on the transactional cost. Basically, psychologically what happens is when the cost is low, Ravi, generally what happens is the break even basically comes down. So it really helps the retail traders basically, I would say, psychologically to get out of the trade even if their view is wrong. Because generally what I've seen from the retail traders and what I've observed is that they generally tend to continue to their trade even if they're going wrong, just because they don't want to make loss. They want to get out of their break-even cost, right? And that break-even cost is the psychological barrier, I would say, which basically doesn't allow them to change their view. Bringing down the transactional cost and bringing down the break-even value basically would help them to quickly get out of the trade, even if they're going wrong. And definitely this will help out them to hedge their strategies as well, because of the transaction cost coming down. They can very well hedge, because is that because of the transaction cost they're not able to hedge much, and they think that their break-even would again go higher, right? So this will help the traders to basically formulate those kind of hedging strategies. Maybe a covered call strategy, which will definitely help them out on the future side, because the weekly futures have also been launched. So this would be really great thing for the traders to basically take, trading strategies or trading positions on the futures as well, right? And hedging them with the options, and definitely looking out for playing shorting out of the money option basically and going right on that. If you go right, then obviously you're going to make good money on Monday expiry. That is one product which really definitely people are going to look out for. I think this can bring good amount of opportunity for the traders when you have this kind of a different expiry.
So, Jay, you brought some really good points there. It's in particular on the transaction cost, because one of the things that I found in my trading experience or trading is that active traders, in the back of their minds, they'll have this thing of, oh, it's going to cost me too much to on the transaction cost, and they second guess themselves. So if they know that the transaction costs are very low, then they will not be compromising their trading strategy. They'll actually keep their trading strategy pure and not worry about transaction costs. And I think that's extremely, extremely important. Thank you. That was some very good perspective. Any other thoughts on strategies, or anybody else want to contribute some thoughts on some strategy?
जी आप भी ऑप्शन के बड़े ट्रेडर हो, तो आप जरा कोई स्ट्रेटजी बताइए.
Sure. So obviously I've heard the obvious one, which is selling options for weekend premium. But in this current environment, there's another advantage of Monday options, and that is the fact that when you're sitting on Thursday or Friday, you have the entire weekend news possible. You're not looking at one day overnight news, at 3 days news. And so this gives the ability to actually take on positions at probably a reasonable price on potential weekend news. As we've seen, especially during this pandemic, you come in Monday morning and all of a sudden you have 3 days worth of news about how many new deaths have been there, how many new cases, and the market reacts over 3 days with news. So this gives the ability to take in, instead of buying a Thursday option, you actually can buy a Monday option that'll immediately react. That'll react more to the news. So I think that's a very important point. And I think it might actually be advantageous for people who want to play it from a long side, as opposed to just from the short side. So on that, I wanted to ask Verinder one more question. You guys are very active option traders, and I think you indicated that in India, a lot of traders after the Thursday expiration, their capital sits idle until, because they don't want to put on a lot of positions until Monday. Do you think having a Monday expiry contract will give them sort of a vehicle for these traders to deploy their capital that's sitting idle?
Yeah, I do really think that people will be able to deploy. So I am talking about people who are simply shorting out of the money options, for example. So for them to short for a 1 week horizon is far more risky, So shorting for a 2-day horizon, say shorting on a Friday with a Monday expiration, they might be more comfortable with it. And so, yes, it will present a new set of opportunities for such traders.
Right.
And on the point of opportunities for global players who are sitting, for example, like you outside India, for example, for the FPIs, just remember that the Sensex 50 trades at India INX as well. So you have a dollar denominated contract of the same and you have a rupee denominated contract of the same. So that itself could bring in new set of opportunities to play on.
That's a great point. And I'm going to ask a follow-up question on that in a minute. But I wanted to ask Sunil, do you have any views on whether the traders are going to actively use available capital to trade the Monday option after the Thursday options expire?
Yeah, definitely. I think it will be useful in that respect, because you see that whatever the Virendra has said, it makes a lot of sense that whatever the money is lying can be used for shorter period, and on Monday, if suppose we get an opportunity, if the expiry is very near, then definitely the money can be made in a shorter period of time, and that too, to enjoy whatever the weekend is available, and then 3 days premium can be made with proper strategy.
But one of the issues that comes up, and this is particular for market makers or market discovery, is that pricing of short-term derivatives can be challenging. Pricing the volatility surface for 2 or 3 day option versus 5-day option versus the next week option can be challenging in terms of especially in very, very volatile markets. And also it requires a different set of sort of risk analytical tools. Do you think that both market participants as well as market makers as well as participants are well equipped with the analytical and risk tools? Jay, I'd like to hear your view on that as well. Do you think the market has the right tools to be able to correctly price and take advantage of this arbitrage?
Yeah, this is for me.
See, Ravi, I do think, yes, that, first of all, I would like to say that, as I already said, it will definitely provide the traders a lot of opportunities because the expiry is on Monday. And I also want to tell you one thing is that mostly it has been observed that many of the events are taking place on the weekends. So basically, that these events are going to be on the weekends. Generally, you see that major events globally happens on weekend. And also one thing to notice is that uh, after our market gets over on Friday, the Indian market, basically, we have the last day of the US market, the European markets, right? And basically, if you can make some judgment out of those markets, you can definitely follow those strategies for the market opening, right? So that is one thing which is really going to be really interesting. I already said that if you are expecting nothing to happen globally. Um, because things are quite globally related now since 2008 fall we have been seeing that especially in this kind of high volatile scenario you really need to look at the global markets day on day, and what happens is basically doing that it helps you to basically make a judgment of the Monday, and it provides you that as I already said that if you're thinking that nothing will happen on Monday, then you already short on options, and if you think that yes, then you're going you're long on volatility. So basically, when to be long on volatility and when to be short on volatility is something which is going to be really interesting. And I think yes, the proper pricing can happen. So those cues are really available in the market. So those things can be worked out. And as I said, most of the events happen on weekend. So this will provide a lot of opportunities for them.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That's good to hear. Because I always worry about excess amounts of mispricing. While it creates opportunity, it also creates dislocations in the market, and so that you want to have a certain level of well understood pricing and risk management, along with different opinions in the market, and that creates a good long-term sustainable market. The last thing you want is people are unable to price it correctly and they get blown out. That's not good for the market in the long run. So let me change topics a little bit. One of the points that I think Ojas made was about interoperability, which was a huge thing in India, and having now the ability to just keep collateral in one place as opposed to having to maintain collateral in two different clearing firms. So does interoperability have a major impact on the viability and the growth of this contract, even though the contract will not be completely fungible? It's the NIFTY contract because the expiration is different, and thus you won't get full offset or even partial offset, I guess, of the futures and options. But does the fact that you have to keep only collateral in one place, does that help from and how much of an impact do you think that'll have? So Uttam and Anil, if you could address that, I'd appreciate it.
So actually, the interop was a necessary condition for this. So we have been going on how we have some extra capital left over which can be deployed. There is no way we could have deployed it without interop, right? But previously, for those just putting in perspective, my entire capital was divided between the major markets, the BSE cash market, the BSE FO market. So the NSE cash and BSE cash, and partly with my clearing member, who I used to clear through for my derivatives. These were three places where even those were self-clearing. Again, it was divided over two clearing corporations, and mostly most people were keeping money at the clearing corporation, which was dealing with the larger volumes. So there wasn't much capital available for BSE and BSE segments, anyways. But now with interop in place, having this capital fungible across segments, and if you are self-clearing member across exchanges and segments, it becomes a no-brainer. The trade becomes a no-brainer. Otherwise, it was simply not like there's no way I can withdraw capital, put it back in the other clearing corporation, take it off and putting back. It might as well not do it. Without interop, even trying anything would have been a serious waste of time, if I may say so.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. And Anil, have you seen? Do you have any further comments? And also, have you seen almost all players take advantage of interoperability at this point?
या इंटरऑपरेटिविटी होने से क्या हो गया है कि आज की तारीख में बीएसई में एफ सेगमेंट चलता नहीं था, मतलब पहले चलता नहीं था, वॉल्यूम नहीं था, तो लोगों की जो भी बैंक गारंटी, कॉल लेटर, सभी दूसरे एक्सचेंज के पास था। तो कोई एक्सचेंज से फोन आया कि भी हमारे यहाँ एक्सचेंज में ट्रेड करो, तो बोला कि पैसा नहीं है, पूरा पैसा वहां लगा दिया है। तो इंटरऑपरेटिविटी होने के बाद ऐसा हो गया है कि आपको पैसे की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है, सिर्फ आपको सौदा पंच करना है। और अभी जो न्यू मार्जिन फ्रेमवर्क जो आ गया है, जो पूरा 20 साल के बाद बड़ा रिफॉर्म सेबी ने किया है, जब से सेबी आई तब से 2 बड़े रिफॉर्म इंडिया में हुआ है। क्योंकि हेज पोजीशन पे जो मार्जिन इन लोगों ने जो मतलब एकदम 2% कर दिया है, यानी कि कन्वर्जन रिवर्सल पे निफ्टी में 4% हो गया है, और स्टॉक फ्यूचर में कन्वर्जन रिवर्सल पे 7% हो गया है। और बाय और सेल हेज में 2% हो गए हैं, यानी कि जो बाय किया सेल किया ऊपर वाला, और नीचे में जितना बाय किया और नीचे सेल किया और नीचे में 500 फर्क बाय किया, तो आपका 7% मार्जिन हो जाएगा। नहीं तो यानी कि इतना बड़ा इम्पैक्ट हो गया है ये मार्जिन का, मेरे हिसाब से 15 से 20% मार्जिन ओवरऑल सिस्टम से रिलीज हो गया है। अभी इसका बेनिफिट बीएसई को लेना है कि कैसे ये बेनिफिट मिले उनको, क्योंकि मार्जिन की आजकल शॉर्टेज थोड़ी कम हो गई है। जो मार्जिन जो लोगों के पास बहुत पड़ा हुआ है मार्जिन, ओवरऑल बड़े बड़े ब्रोकर की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, जो उन लोगों के पास, तो ओवरऑल ये सेगमेंट चलाने के लिए वो बेनिफिट इंटरऑपरेटिबिलिटी के साथ रहेगा। तो 100% ये जो अलग अलग जो सेटलमेंट जो लगाया बनाया हुआ है, तो उसका बेनिफिट हो जाएगा।
Very good point, Anil. Very good point about the recent reforms on the margin requirements. I've been complaining about this for years. I remember about 5 or 6 years ago, I wrote extensive paper to SEBI along with with ANMI. They sponsored this paper, and we presented these arguments to SEBI back 5-6 years ago, and nothing happened. It took 5 or 6 years for these reforms, but they're very welcome. So things like you're talking about conversions or reverse conversions. I mean, it was ridiculous how much margin was required for those, and now finally it makes much more sense. It took a long time, but it's finally there. So that's a very good point. Thank you, Anil. Now, Verinder, you mentioned the INX, and I believe you mentioned that, and I believe your firm is very active on the INX as well. Yeah, you mentioned foreign players trading on the INX. So I think your firm is very active on the INX. There's one big difference on INX versus onshore, and that's the STT. Do you think that there is still opportunity to trade Sensex 50 onshore versus the INX in some form, even given the STT in India?
Well, that depends upon how you look at the opportunity. I mean, think of it. SGX trades the same thing without STT, and you trade NSE trades with STT. And still, for some FPIs, there are multiple strategies which they are able to run on across the two. In that sense, our experience is that yes, opportunities do come. It's just that the onshore market till now did not exist for the Sensex 50 product. So once it is there, and it takes off, it will present the same set of opportunities as is on SGX Nifty versus India Nifty.
And you don't see any issue with the currency component, but I guess that's the same thing with the SGX, right?
Correct. So it's the same thing. I mean, those who manage are able to manage their positions accordingly, and so we'll be able to manage that same risk here as well.
Okay, excellent. So that's good news, because then hopefully, as the market builds up onshore, we'll see even greater participation for people who are trying to look at arbitrage opportunity between the INX and onshore, which always helps the onshore contract as well. That's good. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about. Well, we talked a lot about transaction costs. And one of the things about transaction cost is that we've seen is that competition between exchanges that has been very brutal in India has helped drive transaction costs down. We saw that in currency derivatives when the BSE took a big lead role in currency derivatives and managed to get a large share of the market, a lion's share of the market, and that helped drive transaction costs down. Do you think the same thing could happen in equity derivatives, due to the Sensex 50 contract? And if overall transaction costs are driven down, does it change the equation between the NIFTY and the Sensex contract potentially? And again, I'm thinking longer term here now. So Anil and Uttam, do you have any thoughts on that? impact of overall transaction costs coming down, and then the overall impact to the market.
So competition is always good news for the customers, whether it's the stockbrokers as pro traders who are the direct customers, or where stockbrokers are agents on behalf of their clients. And again, derivatives is of course a market for professional traders where transaction costs matter. But again, in the Indian context, the exchange transaction cost as a percentage of total cost of trading is not very high in futures, and not very high in delivery transactions. But in options, it's significant in the main option market. So again, competition is of course good news. They are going to drive down the cost, and when this segment takes off, I think strategy will dictate other exchanges also to reduce their cost. That's what we expect.
Okay. Right, and if other exchanges reduce their costs, do you think that so then it's important that the Sensex 50 contract gains enough momentum to deflect losing that momentum if the other exchanges respond with lower transaction costs. So I think it's important that very quickly market participants start trading this contract, so we get that critical momentum. I think that's important. Uttam, do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, Anil, do you have any thoughts on this?
यस सर, क्योंकि आप देखो MCX SX जब भी इंडिया में लॉन्च होने की बात हुई थी, तब जाके अदर एक्सचेंज में मतलब कई सारे चीजें में ट्रांजेक्शन चार्ज कम करने का प्रपोजल भी रखा था। तो ये भी क्या है कि ये एक्सचेंज में भी जो ट्रांजेक्शन कॉस्ट कम होने से जो डेप्थ और लिक्विडिटी आ जाएगी, तो 100% कॉम्पिटिशन से पार्टिसिपेशन को फायदा होने वाला है, उसमें तो कोई दो राय नहीं है। और दूसरे एक्सचेंज का वॉल्यूम भी उससे बेनिफिट मिलने वाला है, क्योंकि जहां पर 2-4 शॉप एक साथ होती है तो वहां उसका बिजनेस बढ़ता ही है, घटता नहीं है। आप देखो कहीं पे एक साथ 4 दुकान, आप अब क्यों बड़े शॉपिंग मॉल में कई सारी दुकानें हैं तो चलती है, सभी अलग अलग ब्रांड की होती है, लेकिन वो चलती है क्योंकि कस्टमर जाता है तो एक ही जगह जाता है, मतलब लेकिन अगर आजू बाजू में बाकी दुकान होती है तो उसको चूज करने में और एक साथ चूज करने में उसको बेनिफिट मिलता है। तो मैं समझता हूँ जहां तक कि एक्सचेंज की मेंबरों के लिए ट्रांजैक्शन कॉस्ट घटेगी, और एक्सचेंज NSE का भी मुझे नहीं लग रहा है कि उसका जो रेवेन्यू है वो घटेगा, उसका वॉल्यूम जो अभी चल रहा है उसमें भी बहुत बड़ा इजाफा होगा।
Classic Laffer curve.
I'm sorry, what was the last thing somebody mentioned?
I said it would be a classic Laffer curve, if you remember.
Yes,
absolutely. Of taxes.
absolutely. I agree 100%. Okay, good. Great perspective on that. So in the past, on derivatives, and please take this comment with all due respect. We've seen the exchanges in India tend to copy each other a lot. The same type of contracts from one exchange to the other. And so this move by the BSE is particularly interesting because they sort of set their own terms. They've set a contract with different terms. They've been bold enough to do that. Now, given this now, can you, and I'll start with Jay and Sunil, can you suggest other types of products that the BSE could look at, could start developing, which could be interesting not only for traders, not only for prop traders and active traders, but also that could be interesting as a part of a investment strategy, a traditional investment strategy by wealth managers, etc. So, there could be products like volatility products, sector index derivatives. Where do you see other areas of innovation that the market would like to see and would pick up on? Jay and Sunil, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure, Ravi. I would like to say something add to this. That, as you said, that we can have some different sectoral products. So I would say yes. Why not BSE BankX futures? Might be the weekly futures as well, like BSE Sensex, and along with BSE BankX futures, we can also have the BSE BankX options as well, because we know that the good amount of, I would say, weightage of BankX is there on BSE Sensex, and definitely we have been seeing that on the other index, the banking index is doing quite well, and people are quite interested on that because the volatility out there is comparatively higher, right? And people or traders are more interested to basically trade out there because of the movement out there is quite a lot as compared to that of the major index. So I would say BSE BankX can be one of the futures on the weekly side or weekly contracts. And then using that, we can have the weekly pair trades as well, along with the monthly pair trades which we have, and the weekly options out there as well, really beneficial for us. And also, I would also like to add one more thing to the previous question. Is that as we were discussing about the transactional cost, I would say that what happened because of this weekly expiry that has got shifted to Monday. The most interesting thing is that with the lowering down of the transaction cost and the premium also basically comes down. So the hedging cost basically for those HNIs, ultra HNIs for hedging their portfolio for the weekend basically comes down and their participation increases because the premiums on Friday generally are less because the expiry is on Monday, right? So for the Thursday to Thursday expiry, what happens is basically the fresh contract has just started on Thursday or Friday. So the premiums are basically really higher. So in order to hedge your portfolio, the hedging cost is going to be higher. So there can be less of participation here because of the hedging cost low, the participation can be more. So that is one thing which definitely which the HNIs, ultra HNIs can basically use their portfolio to hedge it overnight over the weekend, I would say. And another product would be something related to BSE BankX futures and
Okay, good perspective on hedging because we talk more about trading and less about hedging. So it's good to hear that that you feel that this could be an interesting hedging product as well. Sunil, do you have any advice or thoughts on some new or different products that the BSE could think of?
Innovation side, I think BSE is doing really a lot of new innovations and giving a good fight and bringing in a lot of product. Something which is missing is customer centricity. Like, who are the two people who are giving maximum volume to any exchange are in FNO specifically, are either FII or trader. These are the two communities which give a lot of volume, and specifically one need to focus on the largest segment, that is FII. If they come up, they definitely bring in, they will attract a lot of volume on this, then definitely the other people will follow that. So what I suggest or what I think on this, that something related to their interest, like one which is been done is INX. I think that is really exciting, and that can bring the customer to that exchange, and from there, and now this correlation with Sensex, there could be combined strategy which they can play over here. So I think this what I feel is quite attractive and can bring in a lot of foreign investor interest into this. What I feel.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll give you a couple of thoughts from my vantage point. One of the things that I think could be interesting in India in general are sector indices or derivatives on sector indices. And a lot of it is because we've seen significant sector rotation where something like a broad-based index doesn't necessarily represent what's happening internally in the market. We'll see one sector performing extremely differently than another sector. So it would be great to see the success of derivatives on sector products, which have not really happened in India so far. I think that will be. I think that'll also be very important for global investors into India. And the second thing I'd like to mention is volatility products. India VIX was launched at one point and it didn't survive. Volatility products in the West have become extremely important as both a trading product as well as a hedging product. So it'd be interesting at some point to see some kind of volatility products also come into the Indian market. Those would be my perspectives from here. This has been a very interesting conversation. I think we've covered a lot of different things, all the way from strategy to new ideas to impact of transaction costs, etc. I want to look at some of the questions that are coming in and see if some of you are willing to field some of these questions. So first of all, there's a question regarding, I guess, regarding new products. We have a question that says, do we see India launching things like barrier or digital options or any other more what we call exotic options? Or is that something that there is either no appetite for or regulatory issues? Does anybody have any views or thoughts on that?
I think Ravi, you can only answer.
Yeah, sure. So I can't answer it from a regulatory perspective, but I can definitely say that there is a lot of interest in digital options in particular, where there's a fixed payout. And so when a market hits a certain level, a payout occurs. But they're difficult contracts. They're difficult contracts to price, and they're difficult contracts to have on the exchange. So I think we're going to find exotic options probably not come in that soon in the Indian markets in the exchange traded markets. We might see some over-the-counter activity in those, but that's not very relevant here. So I would say that probably that is much down in the future at some point. Another question that we have is regarding overnight positions in the weekend for retail participants. What is the risk of retail participants taking a position over the weekend in these contracts? So we have talked about these contracts being an opportunity to gain, just to sell and gain the theta. But we have a question saying, well, what's the risk then if a retail retail trader does that? Who'd like to address that and give some sense of or some views to the retail trader?
I may, Ravi. I would say, as far as retail participants are concerned, Ravi, I would say that yes, we are playing more of on the theta when you sell the options over the weekend, and basically it will definitely provide a good amount of opportunity for you to gain out of it, looking at the expiry. So I would say that the risk out here comparatively is going to be not much, I would say, for the retail participants. In fact, what I would say, I would look at it the other way around is, as I said, that for those retail participants who would not like to wait for 1 week, which just mentioned in his thoughts, that you don't have to wait for 1 week, wherein you can be caught on the wrong side for a long time. It's just that on Monday, wherein you'll be having a fair enough idea that there is going to go up or down. So the risk compared to the weekly settlement, which is going to happen on Thursday to Thursday, is going to be less on Monday than that of Thursday, I would say. And in fact, for the HNIs, I would say, not for the retailers, I would say that if they think that there's going to be high risk, they can hedge. Hedging cost is going to be less. I think this is going to be good, and this has more advantages than that of this.
Yeah, so I agree with you that the selling of the options for theta is probably still more of a prop and HNI and FII type strategy. Retail can possibly to hedge gap risk, as well as possibly take on positions to take advantage of gap risk over the weekend. If the premiums are very low over the weekend, over the Monday option, it will present a risk that retail participants may find difficult to manage. Vrind, do you have any further thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would actually like to allude upon what you mentioned earlier. If the pricing in the market is not sophisticated enough to price it adequately or properly, I think at least for the starting, the retail can get into a mispriced option and burn their fingers. So that level of skill set may not exactly be there on the retail side. So I would tend to go with a caution for the retail players if they want to short just for the theta.
You've echoed my sentiments exactly. I appreciate that. Thank you. And you said it much more eloquently than I said it. Thank you.
Good one.
So I don't think there are any other questions from the audience.
I have a question for Samir.
Yes,
please.
Samir, we had cross margin for Sensex 30 and Nifty. When can we expect a cross margin between the futures of Sensex 50 and Nifty?
So I think Samir sir, the audio is not audible. So I'll take it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so the initial approval which was given for the cross margining, that was for the benchmark indices of each of the exchanges. So it was given against Nifty, against Sensex and SX 40. So these were the three benchmark indices of the exchanges. So it was made available for these three indices. Now, as you rightly said, this is the point to be taken up. So we'll be taking up this point with the regulator on a most urgent basis to have a cross margining with the other indices as well, apart from the benchmark indices. So your point has been well thought, and we are already on it, and we'll work on that.
So if you are making an effort, please try to make an effort on cross margining the options as well. Earlier with Sensex, you had a problem of strike price alignment. Now you don't really have that big a problem. It'll be interesting if you can get a cross margin across options. That will actually give a big boost to your options book.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
especially with a span framework of margin, doing cross margining becomes a little bit easier, because within this span framework, they can have a haircut, a cross margin haircut, and just calculate them together. So definitely, span does give the ability to make cross margining a lot easier.
So I have a tangential point. So even before 2001, where derivatives formally came in India used to have derivatives. It was in the grey market. If those who remember, there used to be Jhota, Fatak, Teji, Mandi. And I used to sit with my father, try to understand it. And the product was a fixed premium variable strike. All right. And recently I was reading an article where something like this was being discussed, and I forget. And it was very popular at that time. Anil bhai, you can
yes. एक दिन का धोती तो लोटा जोटा बोलते थे हमारे अहमदाबाद में मैक्सिमम चलता था और एक दिन का भी मिलता था हमको.
It used to be a one-day option, and the premium was fixed at 1 rupee or whatever it was, and the strike used to vary based on the volatility. Now that would be there's certain point is sometimes there are certain products we try to introduce on a particular culture in a market. This is the international practice. There's some homegrown products which have found popularity amongst the local population. So probably at some time, if this product could be studied, I think it will be so complicated that people will shudder bringing it in. Maybe it will seem like, oh my God, we are making the market into a casino. But the market has place for everyone, hedgers, arbitrageurs, and speculators. And that is what makes the market deep and liquid. So just leaving a thought with the panelists and all the audience.
No, Uttam, I'll tell you where you got that. We were discussing about the Bacheliers option pricing model, which was in 1905 used in Paris to price.
It was you. It was my discussion with Virendra which reminded me of this. Of course, thanks. Thanks for reminding me.
And so, in that sense, what you inherited was actually the earlier global practice at that time, but it was drawn from bonds where you could not actually change the face value once it was issued. That is why it was always priced in terms of the strike.
But it wasn't that somebody in India sat and studied the international bond market and structure and said, let's bring this product in India. This product had developed over the last 100 years.
No, so I'm telling you, historically, that's the way options had evolved. Something unique to India. I mean, sorry for
sure.
a spoiler, but it was not something unique to India. That's the way options products had evolved originally.
All right.
Well, I mean, actually, if you think about it, it's very similar to, in general, betting, where you place a certain amount of bet. Let's say you place, a $10 bet, but you don't know the odds until all the bets are collected. That the odds then effectively are reflective of the volatility. The parallel in the market is the volatility. So the strike is set by the volatility, but the odd, the amount you're betting, is always the same. So it's actually very parallel to the way betting and odds work. And that's, of course, going to be the challenge, because the regulators are going to look at it as a pure betting type product. But it is very interesting. Like you said, there's a place, there's products and a place for everything in the market. There should be.
The moment the international exchange launches it, then India will start copying it, right?
Right. So I think I've taken up my full hour. This was a very engaging and interesting conversation. We really look forward to the success of this product, and of course, look forward to newer products, additional, new innovation. It's been a crazy several months, but it's great to see that people are not sitting afraid to do things, and that's, like you said, the resilience of all of us. So thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. I'll pass this back to Ojas.
And from thank you, Ravi, for being a lovely moderator. It has been an absolute delight being on this panel.
Very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Ravi, you were really good.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Sorry. Passing it back to you, Ojas.
Hello. Am I audible? Hello.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I was trying actually. So, Ravi, it's been really wonderful, and it was a very, very good session. Thanks for that, and you've been really, really good. And thank you all for the other panelists. Got to learn so many new things. It's Ravi, again, you reminded me about the exotic products and exotic option products like the digital option. So something that reminded me when Shri Uttam spoke about daily option, and then Virender ji seconding the thought. Also, something reminded me about a product called as a binary option as well. I don't know whether it's the similar thing or what, but yes, it's been traded very, very. It's a very popular product traded across the globe, and not regulated though. But just came across my mind. I thought I should be mentioning that. But nevertheless, thank you all. Thank you all panelists, and it was great. It was in fact very, very informative for all. Back to you, Ojas.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all the panelists for this wonderful, and it was very insightful. There are many takeaways. Today the participants have received a lot of information from our panelists. Now I would like to invite Mr. Rajendra Sharma, Head of National Members, FIG, and Head of Analytics of BSE, for the vote of thanks. Rajendra sir, over to you.
Thank you, Deepak. Am I audible?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So let me take this opportunity to thank one and all the attendees, the panelists, the moderator, and team BSE for conducting such a wonderful, fantastic session on Sensex Weekly 50, which is an upcoming contract. Special thanks to Shri Ravi Jain for moderating this session, and it has been a actual experience of understanding the different, basically different views from various industries across globe and within India. I would like to also thank Sri Samir Patil for his opening remarks, and a big thank you to all the panelists, Sri Uttam Bagri, Sri Anil Shah, Sri Virendra Mansukani, Sri Sunil Jain, Sri Jay Thakkar, for giving an insight on this excellent weekly contract. Hope to see you all in more such events to be organized by BSE. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Stay home. Stay safe.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the vote of thanks. And with this, we wrap up this session on Sensex 50. Thanks to all the valuable participants for their valuable participation. I request our member brokers, other market intermediaries, traders, clients to actively participate in BSE FNO segment and make this product a grand success. For further information, you can also talk to the district manager of BSE. Thanks once again for participating in this session. Goodbye and happy weekend to each and everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you.
All the best. All the best.
Thank you.